Chapter 4. Tomorrow. The morning of my wedding, I woke early, alone in our king-sized bed. Ronnie had slept at a hotel while I stayed home. Knowing I wasn't as happy as I should have been, I was relieved to be by myself. There were still so many things I needed to work out before becoming a wife, like putting down the drugs. In the 8 months before our engagement, and the year since, I hadn't been able to stop getting high. The wedding day pills I'd managed to score were tucked in the pocket of one of my jackets, hanging in the bedroom closet. Even though I was by myself, I'd hidden them out of habit. Needing them to do anything else is what got me out of bed. As soon as my fingers touched the hard plastic container, I felt the familiar pangs of anticipation and disgust that accompanied my addiction. My body responded in kind. My stomach clenched and my throat tightened as though in defiance of what was coming. I sat on the edge of the bed and counted out 3 of the big orange pills. I knew it wouldn't be nearly enough. The Darvocet was no match for the daily fentanyl I'd been using for months. Still, taking more than 3 was a risk I wasn't willing to take. I didn't know how my body would react to the pills. There was a good chance they'd make me sicker than I was already. I didn't normally take pills so early in the day. Most days, I'd try to get through without them altogether. By 10 or 11, when my stomach and leg muscles would start to cramp, or I'd feel the other telltale flu-like signs of withdrawal, I'd try to coach myself. You can do this. Just 1 minute at a time. When the cold sweats set in, and the sour smell of my skin made me sick, I'd tell myself to make it through 3 days. That's the worst of it. It'll be out of your system by day 4. But as my body began to ache from head to toe, screaming for relief, I'd give in. It was all I could think about. I'll try again tomorrow, I'd say. This is my last high. It was the same thing every day, just like with cigarettes. And I meant it, every single time. Once this pill or patch is gone, I'm done for good. Tomorrow I'll stay clean. But then tomorrow became today, and so on. Tomorrow never came. Since I hadn't been able to stop before the wedding, the most I could hope for was that I wouldn't be sick. I downed the pills with a glass of water from the nightstand. I cried during the ceremony and spent much of the reception in the bridal room, swallowing pills to stave off the shakes and sweats. I took the last 3 Darvocet in the hotel bathroom at Logan Airport, where we stayed on our first night as husband and wife. We were flying to the Dominican Republic the next day for our honeymoon. That would be my first day clean, I decided. Our honeymoon would mark the start of my new life as a married woman. And since I wouldn't have the opportunity to get drugs, it was the perfect plan. Our first day in Punta Cana wasn't so bad. Aside from a few minor aches and pains, I felt okay. Early on the second morning of our honeymoon, a group of us crowded into a van for a full-day waterfall excursion halfway across the country. Despite sitting close enough to the air conditioner vent to give me goosebumps, I was sweating. The real withdrawal was starting. The trip that had sounded thrilling while planning at home in our air-conditioned kitchen now felt like torture. With the heat already an oppressive 80 degrees at 7 in the morning, I would have given anything to go back to the room and curl up in bed. The bus left us at a small airport where we boarded a puddle jumper for a short flight. As if the heat wasn't bad enough, the smell of fuel was so pungent it made my eyes water. That's when the dull throbbing behind my eyes kicked in. By the time we landed 40 minutes later, I thought my skull would crack open like a walnut. Trucks waited to take us to a clearing beside the road, where a group of horses stood with their owners. These would be our next mode of transportation. The owners are individual guides. We each chose our own horse. My pick was the one closest to me, a smaller, light brown female. The horseback journey was as harrowing as the plane ride. We traveled through the woods, across a stream, and along the edge of a cliff where all I could see were the tops of trees. I felt like I might vomit. When we finally stopped in a clearing, the owners helped us off the horses before tying them to nearby posts. Ronnie and I followed the others to a weathered, canvas-covered wooden platform that had been erected in the middle of nowhere. A jug of water and paper cups sat on its railing. "The next part of this journey will be on foot," our tour guide said. Looking around at the other dozen tourists, I wondered if they felt as overwhelmed and exhausted as I did. They all seemed to be enjoying the day. I'd determined it was me. I knew I was the problem, and would have had fun too had I not been trapped in my own private hell. My body wasn't ready for something so physically demanding. The trek was grueling. The guy wasn't kidding when he said it was steep. Much of the time, I had to use all my energy to keep from sliding down the path. Each time I had to stop to catch my breath, I promised Ronnie I'd quit smoking when we returned home. "How far to the waterfall?" I asked the guide behind us. 50 meters, he said. I didn't know exactly how much a meter was, but it sounded like a long way. And I'd have to do the same hike on the way back, except it would be uphill. Relief swept over me when I heard the roar of rushing water. We were close. I picked up my pace, moving as fast as I could toward my salvation from the sticky heat. Just when it started to seem like we'd never get there, I saw the opening, and then the clear water before me. I stripped down to my bathing suit and stepped into the cold pool. For a second, the water felt so good, I forgot I wasn't free. 12 hours had passed by the time the bus dropped us back off at the resort, and I couldn't wait to stand beneath the warm spray of the shower and wash away the sweat, dust, and chemicals from my skin. My bones and muscles screamed, and my head raced. And my experience told me that as bad as it was that day, the next would be even worse. Day 3 was always the most severe. On the third day, it poured. Although grateful for an excuse to stay in bed, what I really wanted to do was join Ronnie in exploring the country. Having been outside the United States only one other time, when Ronnie took me to Aruba the year before, experiencing another country was what excited me most. My addiction took that away, too. I was far too sick to go anywhere. I needed to stay close to the bathroom. My mother's old boyfriend Walter would have said I was dope sick, like he'd said about my mother whenever she'd cover her bedroom window with a blanket and tell us all to go away. I'm not sure what he'd have called fentanyl withdrawal sick, since he died long before the drug gained in popularity, but the sentiment is the same. It was the worst feeling I'd ever felt. I thought about having a drink to take the edge off, a Kahlua Sombrero or White Russian, the only mixed drinks I could recall from my teenage years, the last time I drank. Alcohol was never my thing. I also considered dragging myself to the pharmacy in the hopes they'd have an over-the-counter something to ease the pain. My only other option was to search out a local with opiates for sale. But I didn't even know where to start. I didn't have a car, and I don't speak Spanish. The only thing I could do, the only thing that would bring me relief, was sleep. Just as I drifted off, demons and monsters came for me behind my eyelids. They ogled me with yellow eyes, their hairy hands and sharp claws reaching for me. My eyes popped open. I waited for my heartbeat and breathing to slow before trying again. As soon as my eyes closed, they returned. It didn't matter that I was wide awake. The creatures were as real to me as anything else. The faces of my addiction. That was the worst of it. By day 4, I was able to go to the beach and out to dinner with Ronnie. The physical detox was over. I felt bulletproof when we got home on a Saturday early evening. With the drugs out of my system and a much-needed distance from them, I was off to a great start. On Monday, Ronnie went back to work. Alita and Jack went to school. I was already on summer break from law school, and since I was doing most of my paralegal work from home, I had some hours to fill. Determined to keep busy, I grabbed a handful of wedding cash and set out to purchase a new marital bedroom set. I'd never owned a new bed. Halfway to the furniture store, the voice in my head started whispering to me, "I bet Donna has some patches." I ignored it, but it persisted. "You have plenty of cash." It was louder this time. The thought of it made my mouth water. "It's only been a little over a week. Start over again tomorrow." It drowned out everything else. Yes, tomorrow. I made the call.